Good evening. Thanks very much for joining us on India Business Hour. I'm Shireen Bhan. The headlines we're tracking tonight. Rishi Sunak rings in the change with a cabinet reshuffle after taking charge as the Prime Minister of UK. Promises to fix the economy and unite the country. The 42-year-old is Britain's youngest leader in 200 years and the first one of Indian origin. Dalal Street snaps a 7-day winning streak. The Sensex and the Nifty end in the red after profit booking. The rupee remains on a tight leash below the 83 level against the dollar. It's a tightrope walk for the government on the fiscal front. The Finance Ministry may have to rationalise spending to meet the FY23 fiscal deficit target, as tax receipts may not be enough to cover additional expenditure and non-tax revenue gap. The Competition Commission of India imposes a second penalty on Google in as many weeks for abusing dominant market position. With the current 936 crores, the total penalty on Google is nearly 2,300 crore rupees. CCI also orders Google to allow app developers to use third-party billing services. WhatsApp services restored after a 2-hour global outage, the longest in the company's history. This is the first major outage since October last year, when all of Meta services like Instagram and Facebook went down. ICICI and Kotak Mahindra Bank deliver strong growth in Q2, but mid-sized private banks like RBL and IDFC first report a rise in slippages. PSU banks do not need any additional capital, say government sources, who expect profits for PSBs to touch 1 lakh crore rupees this financial year. Delhi's air quality is the cleanest on Diwali since 2015. AQI grade is still very poor, but it did not reach the severe mark. Warmer weather and winds may have helped disperse pollutants. Diwali brings much-needed festive cheer for retailers. The Traders Association says it clocked business worth 1.25 lakh crore rupees from Navratri till Dhanteras. A report from Shopify says it expects e-commerce sales to cross $12 billion. A partial solar eclipse was visible in large parts of India today. This was the last eclipse of 2022. The next solar eclipse will be visible from India in August of 2027. Good evening. Let's start with the action from Dalal Street. The Sensex and the Nifty snapping their 7-day gaining streak due to profit booking. Financials and FMCG stocks dragged the markets lower. So we saw the Sensex closing with cuts of nearly 300 points and the Nifty ending below the 17,700 mark. That was the market action. But in the currency market, the rupee continues to be on a tight range against the dollar. It remains below the 83 level as easing crude oil prices buoyed investor sentiment. $1 American now costs 82 rupees and 73 paise. The big story tonight, 2 months after losing the Conservative Party leadership race and staring at political wilderness, Rishi Sunak is back at the centre of UK politics. What a comeback it has been for Sunak. He's now the new resident of 10 Downing Street. Sunak has succeeded Liz Truss as the Prime Minister after her tumultuous 45-day tenure. He is the nation's third leader in 7 weeks. The 42-year-old is also Britain's youngest leader in 200 years and the first one of Indian origin. He now faces a daunting task of controlling inflation, which is at a 40-year high, and ease the fears of the market and, more importantly, unite the Conservative Party ahead of the general election. Sanjay Sori, Madija Mujawar report on the rise of Rishi Sunak and the challenges ahead.
There are many firsts to Rishi Sunak's elevation as the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. He's the first Indian origin politician ever to be elected for the top post in a country that ruled India for almost 90 years. He's also UK's first ever Prime Minister of colour and the youngest in more than 200 years. In his first address as the new Prime Minister, Sunak promised to unite the country in difficult times.
I will unite our country, not with words, but with action. Trust is earned, and I will earn yours.
Rishi Sunak's ascent has firmed the belief of many Indians that destiny is written, and Sunak was destined to become the PM even after he had lost to outgoing PM Liz Truss, who'd resigned in just 45 days, saying she failed to deliver on the promises. Sunak has a daunting task ahead to turn around UK's shrinking GDP, contain inflation which has spiraled to over 10%, and deal with the energy crisis, among other challenges.
I will place economic stability and confidence at the heart of this government's agenda. This will mean difficult decisions to come.
After beginning his career as an analyst with Goldman Sachs, Rishi Sunak joined the Conservative Party in 2010. In 2015, he was elected as Conservative MP from Richmond. A firm believer in Brexit, he voted 3 times in favour of Theresa May's Brexit plans. Sunak has always believed that politicians having wide experience in fields like business and finance do a good job in making policies.
I think Parliament benefits from members who have had experience outside of politics, whether that's in teaching, law, or in my case in business and finance. I think if you can bring that experience from another career into the Houses of Parliament, and that will help you be a better politician, help you make good policy.
While Sunak promises to navigate the UK through the economic hurdles, experts feel he is likely to face political challenges from his own party.
The political challenge, first of all, is really within his own party, much more than from the Labour Party. And that is that there is going to be a sense that some of the traditionalists among the Conservatives, who will probably never fully feel that Rishi Sunak is British enough for them.
The actions, of course, that we are looking for first will be the formation of the cabinet, and a lot will depend upon who he includes in that. He has said that he wants to heal divisions within the Conservative Party. He will be looking for talent, but also he will be looking to form a cabinet that brings different sides together. We shall see what the new team looks like, and of course everyone is waiting to see what and how the new team delivers.
Sunak is the son-in-law of Infosys founder N.R. Narayana Murthy. In a statement, Murthy said, and I quote, "Congratulations to Rishi, we are proud of him and we wish him success. We are confident he will do his best for the people of United Kingdom." End of quote. In an interview with CNBC-TV18, Sunak spoke about how Murthy was campaigning door-to-door for him at the start of his political career.
There have been many conversations from a very early time, actually, because something I spoke to him about years ago when we first met, and so he's known it's always been an ambition of mine, and he's been incredibly supportive.
While improving the odds for the Conservatives will be one of Rishi Sunak's many challenges, financial markets will wait to see his immediate steps as he unveils his economic vision on 31st October.
And we will discuss Sunak's economic policies and the challenges he faces, the impact that his tenure could have on the Indo-UK FTA talks. We will speak with the former Minister of State for External Affairs and Lok Sabha MP Shashi Tharoor, Richard Heald of the UK-India Business Council, and Scott Lucas, Professor at the University College Dublin. That's coming up for you at 9:30 p.m. Well, on to a CNBC-TV18 exclusive. The government may have to rationalise its spending in order to meet its fiscal deficit target of 6.4% for the current fiscal. Sources tell us that the tax receipts, though buoyant, might not be enough to cover the additional expenditure and the gap in non-tax revenue. Sapna Das, who broke that story, joins us now with more details. Sapna, what kind of measures can we expect?
Well, absolutely right. Some kind of rationalization expenditure may be required, and probably that's already underway as the RE and the B meetings are already underway. Having said that, two important aspects here, of course, burgeoning additional expenditure and also some uncertainty creeping in on the non-tax revenue side. First, on the non-tax revenue side, well, no clear estimates as of now how much the RBI dividend could be, and there could be some gap again on the disinvestment receipts. As far as the additional expenditure is concerned, somewhere around 3 odd lakh crore is a number that's floating around. Some more additional demands will be coming in from the ministries. As I just mentioned, the RE meetings are on right now. So maybe around 3 to 3.5 lakh odd crore roughly could be the fiscal gap that we are talking about as of now. And going forward, maybe the buoyant tax receipts may not be sufficient to cover that. If you look at direct taxes, well, they are projected to grow at around 30% in the current financial year, which is fantastic. But despite that, it could be a tight rope walk for the government as far as managing the fiscal is concerned. And let's not forget another thing. From next year onwards, they have to reduce the fiscal deficit by over 50 basis points every year, because by FY26, the government has promised to reach a fiscal deficit below 4.5%. Hence, this year's number of 6.4% becomes very important. They should not slip on that. And as of now, of course, there is no plan for any deviation from the fiscal glide path, but it's a tight fiscal rope walk.
It is going to be a tight balancing act for the government. Sapna, many thanks for joining us. And here's another exclusive tonight. The profit figures of public sector banks. Government officials tell CNBC-TV18 PSU banks are expected to register profits worth 1 lakh crore rupees in FY23. This as compared to 60,000 crore rupees in FY20. This will be a 25% growth in PSB profits year on year. The government feels there is no need for fund infusion into PSU banks at this point in time as they are well capitalized. The Competition Commission of India has imposed a second penalty on Google in as many weeks for abusing dominant market position. Now, with the current 936 crore rupee, the total penalty on Google amounts to nearly 2,300 crores. The CCI has also ordered Google to allow app developers to use third-party billing services. This is as per the order that was issued by the CCI today. Shruti joins us now with more details. Two significant orders, both impacting Google, coming in from the Competition Commission. Shruti, the implications for Google.
That's right. The Competition Commission of India has imposed another penalty on Google of 936 crore rupees for abusing its dominant position with respect to its Play Store policies. CCI has noted that Google forces app developers to use its in-app payment systems to promote its own in-app payment system, and that making it mandatory results in denial of market access for payment aggregators as well as app developers. Now, CCI has directed Google to cease and desist from indulging in anti-competitive practices and has said Google shall allow app developers to use third-party billing services for app and in-app purchases. It has also directed Google to not restrict end users from accessing in-app features and services offered by app developers. Google has also been asked to set out a clear policy on data collection, usage and sharing. And now remember, Google has been criticized by various app developers in the past over its Play Store policies and commissions charged by it. In fact, Paytm's Vijay Shekhar Sharma had tweeted last year that India must force Google to allow other payment options. Now, this is the second CCI fine on Google in less than a week. Last week, it fined Google 1,337.76 crore rupees for abusing its dominant position in the Android mobile device ecosystem. At the time, Google, in a statement, called the antitrust regulator's decision a major setback for Indian consumers and businesses, opening serious security risks for Indians who trust Android security features. Google added it will review the decision to evaluate the next steps.
Shruti, many thanks. We are still awaiting a response from Google on today's order. Remember, two orders coming in, one last week and one tonight. It's not been a good day for big tech. WhatsApp services have finally been restored after a 2-hour global outage, the longest in the company's history. This is the first major outage since October last year, when all of Meta's services like Instagram and Facebook were also down. Akhil joins us now with the details. Akhil, you know, there was virtual panic when nobody could message anybody for almost 2 hours. And it wasn't just India, it was a global outage. Take us through what we know about what caused it.
Yes, that's right. Meta has restored WhatsApp services after users around the world, including those in the UK, India, UAE and Hong Kong, reported disruptions for more than 2 hours. In India, which is WhatsApp's biggest market by user count, with close to 500 million users, Down Detector's heat map showed that users in major cities, including Delhi, Mumbai, Bengaluru and Kolkata, were impacted by the disruption. Without providing a reason for the outage, Meta spokesperson said that the company was aware that some people faced trouble sending messages and it would restore WhatsApp for everyone as quickly as possible. The downtime follows a widespread disruption to the company's services a year ago when Meta suffered a 6-hour outage across platforms, including WhatsApp and Instagram. At the time, users couldn't use WhatsApp for at least an hour, which also impacted businesses and markets, from crypto to oil, before traders and general users switched to alternative platforms such as Signal and Telegram. The app's latest outage comes during the festive season in India, when people use the platform even more than usual to send the season's greetings. And now, with WhatsApp back, we can go back to sending our Diwali wishes to friends and family. Back to you.
All right, Akhil, many thanks for joining us. A bulk of those wishes probably already sent out to the universe, but still waiting to understand what caused this outage. That has not been information that Meta has given us so far. A quick check of some of the other headlines that we are tracking. IDFC First Bank beat street estimates in the second quarter. The bank saw slippages rise, though, even as other income drove up profits, up 266% compared to the same period last fiscal.
In the nature of a business, something flows, something writes back. or flow back. That's part of life. So I want to just tell you that our provisioning coverage ratio on the retail book is now 77%. So you should look forward to actually lesser slippages. You should look forward to lesser provisions from the bank going forward.
Well, that's V. Vaidyanathan of IDFC Bank. And JSW Steel also reporting its numbers, a net loss of over 900 crore rupees due to higher raw material costs. The management expects an improvement in profitability in the second half of this fiscal due to lower coking coal and iron ore prices.
In this quarter, we expect the steel prices to be stable and better volumes, and at the same time, costs are going to come down. So all this together, I think Q3 and Q4 of this financial year will be much better than what you have seen in Q2. The FOB price of China is $580, $590 per ton. If you take another $40 as the transportation cost and multiply by 83 rupees, which is a rupee dollar, and if you have to pay 7.5% duty and then add the port charges and other costs relating to imports, then the landed cost is almost equal or maybe slightly higher than the domestic prices today.
Well, that's JSW Steel. A quick check of some of the global earnings. Coca-Cola has raised its full-year outlook after stronger than expected quarterly sales. Revenue rose 10% year-on-year to over $11 billion. Net income rose by 14% year-on-year to nearly $3 billion. Shares of General Motors rallying in early trade after the automaker reported a better-than-expected Q3 profit, helped by rebounding sales. GM also said supply chain constraints are easing, allowing it to increase inventories on dealer lots. Insurance regulator, the IRDAI, has issued an exposure draft proposing amendment to reinsurance regulation. The IRDAI has proposed that the order of preference favouring GICRE be removed. Stakeholders have been given time till the 11th of November to give their feedback. Indian shoppers back in spending mode this festive season, be it gold, vehicles, consumer durables, home decor, garments, electronics, and even sweets and snacks. All categories have witnessed a sharp surge in buying when compared with last year. Shilpa standing by with a roundup of how the festive sales stack up. Shilpa.
Well, this Diwali seems to have brought the much-needed light to several sectors. Now, according to estimates from the Confederation of All India Traders, business worth 1.25 lakh crore was clocked in the period from the first day of Navratri till Dhanteras. And then on the Dhanteras Diwali weekend alone, about 45,000 crore worth of sales were clocked. That's what CAIT has said. And this was led by jewelry, which clocked about 25,000 crore worth of sales. And automobiles, electronics, sweets and snacks, home decor, etc. made up the rest. Now, talking about gold alone, according to the India Bullion and Jewellers Association, 39 tons of gold worth 19,500 crore rupees was sold on the Dhanteras Diwali period over the weekend, which is up 30% from last year. Now, consumer durables also, which saw peak season, saw sales being led by televisions, refrigerators, washing machines, especially in the mid and the premium segment. Now, according to the people in the industry that I spoke to, mid and premium segment is what led the growth, and that's about 25 to 30% volume growth and about a 50% value growth over last year. But pain persisted in the entry-level segment, which saw actually volumes decline by about 10 to 15%. E-commerce sales also concluded about 2-3 rounds of their festive sales as we speak. And while the latest data is not available yet, a Shopify report expects sales of nearly $12 billion to be clocked. Now, remember the first leg towards the end of September, which was the first week, that itself had seen about $5.7 billion, or rather 40,000 crore rupees worth of sales being clocked. But we're yet to get a sense of how retail or even travel did, as most companies and industry bodies are saying that they're yet to ascertain the response and give out specific data. Back to you.
All right, Shilpa, yes, we are waiting for that data, but so far the report card is a good one. Thanks very much for joining us. Time for us to head into a short break. Delhi's air quality is the cleanest on Diwali since 2015. The AQI grade, though, is still very poor. But fortunately for us, it did not reach the severe mark. That and more when we return. Well, Delhi residents are breathing toxic air, with the air quality turning very poor and the air quality index plummeting to 326. Air quality deteriorated as people burst crackers despite the government's ban. However, this is still the cleanest Diwali since 2015, and the condition is better than last year's Diwali when the AQI had actually worsened to 451. Abhimanyu Sharma gets a status update on the air quality in the capital.
Delhi witnessed its cleanest Diwali since 2015, despite the incidents of stubble burning and bursting of firecrackers. The air quality index across the national capital continues to hover in the very poor region and did not touch the severe mark, even as various challans were issued and anti-pollution and anti-cracker drives were conducted by teams of Delhi police and the Delhi administration. Over 200 calls were made to the fire department yesterday after Diwali, which was 33% more than the number of calls made last year. Also, the System for Air Quality and Weather Forecasting and Research, commonly known as SAFAR India, said that there were various reasons behind lesser pollution levels on Diwali. Reason number one was better wind speed, which led to faster dispersal of pollutants. Also, the occurrence of an early Diwali in the Gregorian calendar ensured that there was more sunshine during the daytime and there was lesser cold in the air, which led to better dispersal of pollutants and lesser possibility of fog as well as smog. The AQI across Delhi NCR region is expected to improve over the next few days. However, a word of caution has been sounded by weather experts that as the winter is going to set in, there is a possibility that dispersal of pollutants will become more difficult, which may increase air pollution levels. Also, there is an expectation of 10% rise in air pollution due to the incidence of stubble burning, as a wind is expected to blow from the northwestern side towards Delhi NCR.
Abhimanyu Sharma there reporting on Delhi's air quality. Very poor, not severe. That's the good news. But the bad news is that it is still very poor. A quick check of some of the other headlines tonight. The Ukrainian government has called on the International Atomic Energy Agency to carry out verification activities at two unsuspected locations. The agency said inspectors have visited these sites regularly. These sites are at the center of Russian defense ministers' claims of Ukraine using a dirty bomb. Ukraine, France, UK and the US have dismissed the allegations. Kenyan police has expressed regret over the death of Pakistani journalist Arshad Sharif, saying it was a case of mistaken identity. The 49-year-old journalist was killed on Sunday night after cops fired at the car he was traveling in after it failed to stop at a checkpoint outside the Kenyan capital of Nairobi. The Indian Army has issued a tender for the procurement of 750 remotely piloted aerial vehicles or drones. The procurement will be made under fast-track procedures and under the emergency powers granted to the defence forces by the government of India. A partial solar eclipse was visible in large parts of India today. This was the last eclipse of 2022. The next solar eclipse that will be visible from India will be in August of 2027. Well, that is it then on this edition of India Business Hour. Thanks very much for watching. Remember, the markets will be shut tomorrow on account of Bhai Dooj, but of course, we will be right here with the news on CNBC-TV18. Stay tuned. Keep watching. Good night.